put you guys right on time.
Right. Hi, welcome to TELUS STORYHIVE On Location, Revelstoke. I'm Robb, and we're live in Revelstoke with another incredibly inspiring episode brought to you by TELUS STORYHIVE. Today, I am in Revelstoke speaking with Jessica Duerks, the Trashion designer of these amazing pieces that I'm surrounded by. And we're going to dive into her story, her creative process, and what plans she has for the future. Jessica, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Diving into this process, because I'm amazed at what you have accomplished and created.
Thank you.
Let's start off first with who you are, where you're from, and how you got into creating fashion
Out of trash.
out of trash.
Well, and I grew up just not far from here in Salmon Arm and went to college in Kamloops for technical theater, which is where I started to have my love of costumes. I mean, making something from nothing and like designing for a show was really fun. Until I learned you basically sew buttons in a basement for several years. I was not up for that. I'm also not a night owl, so that was out of the question after a while. And I just bounced around for a little bit and ended up in here in Revy with my husband. Been together 25 years and had babies and decided to come back here where he was from. And Birch and Lace started this Trashion show just before we moved here. And it's all about sustainability and fashion, and she's amazing, Sarah Sampson at Birch and Lace. She just had this idea, and then I, of course, entered one year and got second place, and I was like, I can do better than that. I one-up myself, and ever since then, I've been kind of chasing that that top one. But yeah, it's creating something from nothing is really what I love to do. And like these, I just had a show RVAC, and it really became about memories and emotions. And even though it was all garbage, it still all became very personal.
I think it's amazing that's out of garbage, because it's not like, that's what we were talking before cameras, that I love seeing people who use like upcycle, because upcycling, like you said, sustainability and reusing things that are trash to somebody else but magic to somebody else is just, for me, is like one of the coolest concepts for art. And I think that what you're doing is not only valuable but extremely elegant and unique, because I'm sitting next to a cork dress right now, and how many people in the world would say that they built a cork dress?
Not many, though there is a couple on Pinterest. I did get the idea from there, where I get a lot of my ideas. It's kind of nice as I've created. I mean, this one is wearable, it's fun, but it's not something you would actually wear to a wedding or to an event, just because you can't sit down in it, you can't. But as I've grown as an artist, and one of my newest dresses, you could actually buy and physically wear, and be really like in public with it or at a wedding with it. So I've kind of grown that way as an artist of, yes, you can use trash, but it's not gonna last forever. It's not gonna be comfortable. A lot of the stuff is not comfortable. But as I've grown, I find that like we could get there. We could get to a point where you could actually keep this clothing and wear it.
That would be actually really cool.
Wouldn't that be neat?
And like the leaf one, this is one that I'm like staring at, and I'm still trying to like wrap my head around how you managed to do it.
It was a feat. I had another Pinterest idea where I'd seen these skeletons being made where you can soak a leaf and rub off the actual leaf part and you get the skeleton. And I was like, that's really cool. I want to try that. I did not get the Pinterest results I was expecting. And it made this beautiful like result. And I was like, let's run with it. And at one point, our whole apartment was just covered in leaves. But it's a long process, right? I pulled them all out of the yard in the fall. They soaked for a couple weeks. Then I started bleaching. So it's just like bleach in water and spinning the water, adding more bleach for depending on what color. Obviously, some of them still have some like pattern on them. Mm-hmm. I started to actually leave it and like test how long things were in the water and the bleach. And then these little helicopter things were just at the bottom of the pot. And so they got mixed in there and they just came out so beautiful. And then the base of the dress is actually used tea bags.
Okay.
Which I collected over a year here at Chronometer. And they're all sewed into a dress form. And then the leaves are glued to the tea bags, which who knows how any of that came together, but it just came together and weirdly fast. It was not, you wouldn't think, like the leaf part was very long, but the construction process was not that long.
That's mind blowing. So those are genuine, like they're
Genuine
not like
leaves.
printed. They're actual. They just
They're
lost the
actual
pigment
leaves.
that they have.
Yeah, they were bleached, and then after the bleach bath, they go into a glycerin bath for a couple days.
Does that help them strength?
It does. So you can actually you can crumple them.
Oh wow, they become almost like a
Like
fake leaves.
Like fake leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're
whatever
a
that
little more
material is.
delicate. Like I can put a finger, if I grabbed it, I would rip them.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're holding up pretty good. They've been through several competitions now, and they're still holding up, which is really nice. Especially it's just white glued on there.
That's mind blowing, because like to create something to that extent with nature and upcycle. Like I wouldn't expect nature, like leaves, to be able to go through that much processing,
yes,
and still be able to not like fall apart and be glued onto a dress.
Be glued on. Well, and I took her to Nelson. I do the Trashion show in Nelson every year, the last couple of years, and she actually only got second place. And I was like, what? She got first here in Revy, and she's just so gorgeous. And I found out that they thought that she was just too processed, that the leaves, that I took too much time in processing them.
Okay.
Which is fair. Maybe they're not as garbage, right? I took more of an item and made it into something else, which works. It still works.
Yeah, it's still
but I did it for my
feat.
show. I had a show at RVAC this year for 6 weeks, and I wanted to expand on the Trashion show idea, so I did 5 outfits instead of I only usually ever do 1 a year. This time I did 5 in 6 months,
Wow.
which was a little insane. The leaf dress being one of them. And it was a wonderful show. It was really fun to be able to expand. As much as the Trashion shows are great, there's always rules on them about how much garbage you can use, what you need to use, and that kind of stuff. So with RVAC, I was able to expand that and do a little less trash, a little more upcycling and still reusing, but not as much trash as previous years.
Do you find that you're gravitating towards some like more natural stuff now?
It's really just what speaks to me. Whenever I see a weird Pinterest video and I think I have to try that, I've got one coming, one that I've seen just recently that's gonna take my whole next year, I think. Same with like the tea dress. Actually started out as a completely different idea with tea tags and strings, and then somehow it ended up this. So you never know what's gonna start with and what's gonna end, how it's gonna end, right?
How many tea bags?
800.
I was gonna say, because they're
not very big,
they're tiny
right?
little
So
squares
yeah,
and
I
you
had
fold
to
them
dry
out.
them out and then like pull them apart and take the tea out and iron them. And then they're all sewed together in these big sheet panels and then cut out.
That is so cool.
Right? Same with the coffee pants.
I love the coffee pants.
These are all coffee filters that we used in our house.
I love it.
They were going to be wings originally for the bride's outfit. But when COVID happened, she went into storage, and after that all came back, like Trashion show came back after COVID, it wasn't enough to just make a pair of wings. So I went with the whole groom.
I love it.
And yeah, coffee filter pants. Who would think, right?
I love the steampunk.
He's very fun.
With it.
Yeah.
Which is, do you find that that's something that you tend to gravitate towards?
It's
more like
definitely my
steampunk?
aesthetic.
Yeah.
I do love it. I'm a wedding planner by trade, so I think just originally I just started doing wedding dresses. So then of course he became a groom, and yeah.
I think
dresses are always funner.
Do you find being a wedding planner that you can, and being an event planner here and with your own designs, do you think that eventually you'll be able to make a bride her dress, set up the wedding, and have the entire thing
God,
be
wouldn't that be
themed
fun?
fashion? 'Cause that would be so cool.
Right. I would love to, or do a photo shoot. I've done a couple of photo shoots with these creations, and I would love to do a big wedding style photo shoot and use some of these, because that would be really fun.
Yeah.
Who knows where it'll go.
So far, while developing this art style and art form that you have, what has been like the biggest hurdle for you to overcome while getting to the point where you're at?
Space.
Yes.
I do all of this in a 2-bedroom apartment with my 2 children and husband in tow. They don't always love it. It gets pretty messy. So space is a big thing. I mean, I would kill for a workshop or something. And then having these afterwards, what do I do with them? Luckily, I've been able to do a fashion show here or there, or I took them to the Begbie View Elementary and had them there for a little bit, which was really fun. So yeah, it's just about finding stuff to do with them after they've done competitions, and then after that even.
I can imagine. Have you ever had them come as far as like the Okanagan?
We went to, so I go to the Nelson show and then the Revy show. I've heard there's one in Cranbrook or somewhere, but it's only every 2 years. But I would like to maybe apply for like a Kelowna art show. Maybe,
I've never seen anything like this in Kelowna.
No, I've seen there's a competition in Washington, but of course I'm not one to go over the border and go that far. There's one that I dream of called the World of Wearable Art, which is in New Zealand. I would kill to get there one day. Their stuff is huge art pieces where I'm not sure mine really fit in there yet, but it's like an aspiration to one day be able to go there.
It's mind blowing because I could see this actually doing really well in the Okanagan. Like, I could see you being able to be paid to have this put into a winery just for them to look at it.
I've actually been emailing them because a lot of these came from the same winery, and I emailed them hoping they would put it out, but I've never heard back. So.
Cassini? Yeah.
Yeah, Cassini.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like the corks themselves create such, like this for me as like a wine lover and a person who understands wine culture, it's a very unique thing.
It's super cool.
It is super cool because corks themselves, like the history that goes into corks, no one understands corks. Where they come from, how valuable they actually are. But to turn that into a dress, because for me it's a shame how much work goes into making a cork, and then it gets popped out of the bottle, and then it gets tossed out.
And then it just gets tossed out.
And it's like, that's an extremely rare tree that we destroyed just to make corks.
And there's lots of Pinterests about like reusing the corks into cork boards and a million different things.
Yeah.
And they still somehow get thrown out. These were all from like one New Year's party at the Regent, I think. So yeah, it shows you, and that's the one thing about creating is I need lots of something. Yes. I need lots. Corks, that was crazy. Cutting those in half was ridiculously painful.
I bet.
But just
I'm looking at even slices back here, and I'm like,
making them into patterns, and a lot of fun.
How long did this one take you?
Again, not that long. And I say that like usually a creation takes me 4 months.
Okay.
That one probably 3. It was honestly not that, like lay out the pattern and put the corks down the way you want them. I really like to just let it tell me what it, let the product or the item kind of free flow and let it do what it wants, which is kind of how they all came about.
Which is kind of what I like too, because everything's different. You've got coffee pants, you've got a leaf dress that's with tea bags, you've got corks, and then this amazing piece behind me, which is made out of computer pieces, and like, this is insane. This is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I'm trying not to drop it, but it's like,
all the stuff's pretty durable.
It
has little moving parts, and it's had a little fan that runs. It's super fun.
The computer fan actually runs?
Yeah, it's a little running. I don't know if it's going to come on, but the battery's in the way. That's why. But yeah, she'll come on.
That's so cool. How did this one come about? Because this to me is like, that's next level.
Yeah, she's really fun. I had for last year for Nelson, I created a whole piece called Shelly Servo. She was a big robot. Unfortunately, I used like a 3-foot balloon for her skirt. So she was really wide and bulky. She was created with all the chip bag chains.
I love that.
There was like 7,000 links in her total. She's absolutely gorgeous. She didn't win, unfortunately. And then she was just too big to save. But that I was able to save, obviously, and take back to Nelson this year and win in the accessory category. But yeah, super fun.
Super crazy.
Yeah, she was made. She's like after Dot Matrix and the one from Spaceballs.
Yeah, totally. Now I see it, and even with the mannequin head.
Right,
totally,
the 50s.
I love it, the 50 pinup hair. When you're going about creating these, do you find that it's sometimes difficult, like you'll have a vision that you want and you have to navigate the waters to find and then eventually end up with something completely different than what you were
so much more often than I'm, like I really want something to come to life and I can't make it. These things don't react the way normal fabrics do, normal items do. So yeah, a lot of the times it's a fight. And again, that's why I go with the more, whatever feels more organic, whatever way it actually feels like it's going to work. but there's a couple outfits back here too that didn't start the way, like didn't have any plan, and they just kind of came together without, yeah.
I really like the one in the center.
I do as well. That one's actually made from yarn from my grandma's basement after she passed. We found a bunch of bags of yarn and little sweaters that didn't get made into full sweaters. So I pulled a lot of that apart, and all went into that dress. Mm-hmm. That one I really do feel like a bride could wear. It's absolutely gorgeous on a person. It's not as pretty on the hanger.
I definitely think that what you do has a very unique value to it that I don't think has really hit its time yet, if that makes sense. Like we're at the beginning of this, huge push that could happen. And like you said, there's only a handful of you doing it.
Well, and it's all these, like I said, these ones all ended up being about like memory. With the RVAC show, I was really into bringing stuff that you would never think would make a dress. Like the one on the end there is all paper. It's all my kids' artwork.
I love it.
And it went through a process, a Japanese paper rubbing process, and now it's more like fabric than paper. And it's absolutely the coolest thing ever. But nobody would ever think like, let's make there's a whole pantsuit that goes with it, and it's all paper, completely paper.
See, I would love to have a shirt that was made out of my children's artwork.
Right? Wouldn't that, yeah, right?
To me as a parent, like that is the coolest concept ever.
And like, not just the pictures, but the actual physical paper. That was all stuff in a box that would probably get thrown out otherwise. But putting my hands on it and getting creative with it, it started to just look more beautiful every time I touched it, and every time I put it through another process, it looked even cooler. Yeah. So it became more personal to me in that way. And I feel like, there is a market hopefully eventually for that right? Like I'd love to have a dress made out of my grandma's old projects.
Right. Like
maybe one day somebody will.
And that's kind of a cool thing to have that ability. And I think that's what's nice about being creatives is we have, if we think it, we can do it kind of a thing. And like,
I know people are always like, how did you do that? How did you do that? Where did that come from? I honestly just tried it. Mm-hmm. I saw somebody else's video I thought about it and just do it. There's nothing stopping you.
No, and like clothing is one that I always loved. Like I was saying to Amy, like I'm not a fashionable person. I'm a metalhead, so I like black on black or white on black. It's very easy for me to pick what I want to wear. But I do love the concept of making clothing or accessories that are not necessarily for the common day-to-day person.
Yes.
I like eccentric people, and I would like to see, that's why I like the fashion industry, and I've always kind of like tried to understand it. It's a very difficult one to understand because it moves so fast.
Yes.
Fashion changes within days. So how do you maintain that while developing your own style and trying to keep within the industry that's ever evolving?
I really just go with my gut and my, my personal taste. I got stuck with, hand-me-downs a lot growing up, thrift store clothes, never had my own style. It was always just given to me, or, we lived in a small community, so there wasn't the option to go buy the stuff that I thought was cool, or you don't have money when you're a kid. So as I've grown up, I've just kind of been like, I want to find my style, and as soon as I did, I just go with it, right? Like as soon as it feels right, for me, it's a lot about feeling and a lot about just going with that. And as you get older, you just learn to say screw it more. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do what I want.
No, it's very valuable, and I think that's something like a lesson that a lot of people should take is the only thing really holding us back at becoming what we want to be is ourselves.
Right.
At the end of the day, because everybody else's judgment doesn't really matter. And I think that's a very beautiful lesson to teach the younger generation of creatives coming up nowadays, because my biggest fear is they're not going to learn these skills, and certain skills that are dying they're not going to learn. And there's so many beautiful art forms out there that
totally.
Even myself, I'm like, I would love to do that, but I'm like, that intimidates me. Like, we get to go see glass blowing later today, and that is an art form I've always wanted to, but it intimidates me because
right?
It is very like...
That one you could actually physically hurt yourself.
Yeah, well, I feel like I could hurt myself with a sewing machine. Like, let's be honest, I'm not the best at like hand-eye coordination most of the time, but it's like to create like the top hat. For me, it's like I know how I would think it would be, but the
Well,
process behind it isn't.
Yeah, can
what
you
I think.
guess what it's made out of? I don't think you'll ever guess.
Oh man, I don't even know. I want to say like bags, like paper
Paint.
bags. It's out of paint.
It's out of paint, and so is the jacket. You can kind of see the blue here. It was all, I just put it on a big table. I slathered the table in paint, and I was able to peel the paint off in this big sheet. And the first time I tried it was really tough and hard, hence the hat. Okay. And then my second try, it's a little more flexible. And then I was able to glue, this is all 50-year-old pattern paper, actual jacket pattern that was like glued on top of it. But I've always wanted to make something with paint, and I would die to make something also with paint.
So cool.
I'm always leaning into the things that you would never expect, right? Like, who thinks to make a jacket out of paint or
No one.
pants out of coffee filters?
No, and that's kind of like, do you find that these ideas just like, do they hit you when you're sleeping, or you're just like working, talking to a client at work, and all of a sudden it's like, bing, and you're like, oh, coffee pants, that's what I need to do.
That's what I need to do. Pretty much, yeah, it just comes when it comes. A lot of times it's scrolling Pinterest. I think, oh, I can try that. I can do that.
Fair. When you're setting up the events and bringing the pieces, because that alone is probably a hard thing, because some of them are most likely fragile and valuable and you don't want to break them. When you're getting the show set up, you're getting your models and you're selling tickets and you're setting it all up, at what point do you sit back and go, I'm creating something completely new that hasn't been done?
Never. Never think that to myself. Luckily, we had Refest recently here in Revy. Somebody else was in charge of actually getting it all ready, and all I did was bring my stuff and do the fashion show. I think I would puke if I had to do all of it. Just my small piece was enough. But at the same time, the second she asked me, I didn't hesitate. Like, yes, I will do it. Yes, I will sweat for 6 hours and drag all this stuff out and show it off, and spend hours writing the script for the fashion show because I want these to be seen. I love them. I've had them in my house for like 2, 3, 5 years, and I still want them to be in the house so I can stare at them, because I made them and I still find them fascinating and beautiful.
Well, they are. Like, the leaf one to me is just, it's absolutely mind-boggling, because I've never seen anything like it.
I don't think when you go onto Pinterest and you look, I think a lot of them are AI.
Probably, honestly, like.
But again, nobody thinks like, hey, I'll make it out of leaves.
Yeah, and it's still even the concept of how you had to bleach them really kind of like boggles my brain as to how they became what they are now, because they don't feel anything like leaves. And in my mind, I thought they would have deteriorated and just disintegrated within the processing itself.
Surprisingly, they didn't. I had no idea how they were going to react either. And I just did it. I just tried it. And same with like, as you're pulling them out, right? I had to lay them out a bunch of times, do it again, strain them, pull them apart again. I couldn't believe they were coming apart as full leaves. But they did, and yeah, it turned out gorgeous.
And mind-blowing, the structural integrity behind leaves.
Right.
Something so small we don't take into consideration, right?
I think I wish I would have tried something different than white glue. I do find that when there's a model in it, the body heat can heat up the glue a little bit, and I have had to do some repairs. But again, things they don't work the way I expect them to. They don't.
Things are not going to take into account.
No, there's no notes out there on how leaves are going to be treated like that.
So is there a time length that you can keep your models in this one without it having to start like the glue starts molding to them almost? For
the show, she was in it for about an hour.
Okay.
I think that'd probably be the limit.
Yeah.
It is tender. A lot of my outfits are like, you could throw that cork dress across the parking lot and it probably would be fine. The leaf dress, not so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, some are more delicate than others, but that's definitely the most delicate out of everything I've ever made.
To date, what's been the hardest piece that you've created?
I'm not sure. Surprisingly, they've come together pretty quick. I mean, if I hadn't had certain tools, the yarn dress would have never been possible. A friend of mine lent me a frame that I was able to stretch the burlap over.
Oh, okay.
So more about tools. The one on the end there is all made out of canvas paintings. I had a hard time with that one because I'm not a painter. If we take it outside, it has a hidden solar flower on it. So when I go outside, it just pops this beautiful purple flower.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it was really hard to paint that because it's like invisible paint, right? So I had to paint it out in the sun. I was always running home at lunchtime when there was sunshine to paint it. And even now, like, I love that outfit, but my painting ability is not, was not where I would have liked it to be.
Fair.
And again, another one that looks nothing like it does on a model.
Well, and that's crazy to think that it's out of canvas. Because canvas itself is as a person who tries to paint, it's not an easy thing. It's not very forgiving half the time.
No, it is not.
When you're like, if it's with stretching, you can puncture it.
Well, and it's
easily.
actually like old paintings. So like the skirt's really stiff because it's got a painting on it already. And I just flipped it inside out and painted on it. But it was probably one of the harder ones, just artistically. I knew what I wanted, but it was hard to get it there. Whereas all the other ones kind of came out, not the way I wanted, but came out beautifully without a lot of push.
When you're creating, does it frustrate you all? Because like I know for me, when I'm creating, I go into writing a song with an idea or an intention, and halfway through it, I'm looking at it like, this is not what I had planned, but it's 100% what needs to be created. Do you feel that way about your work?
Sometimes. I feel like if I'm pushing too hard, it's the wrong direction. So I'll stop. Like with the yarn dress, I started the top and I worked for 10 hours on a panel and I hated it. I hated it so much that it was worth throwing that panel away and starting all over again, which was obviously the right direction for that outfit. But I do find that sometimes, right, if you're going down a path that isn't working, it's not meant to work.
So I really like that yarn one because it reminds me of something that you'd see in like a My Chemical Romance music video or a used music video. And just like it brings me back to my like teenage years. And I'm like, that is exactly what my friends would have worn.
I could see somebody who loves knitting just like loving that.
Yeah, and that's right. And that's what's like, we live in such a time where we're buying new things and we get rid of them quickly, and we don't ever really appreciate the things we have fully until like, oh, where did that go? Oh, I missed that thing. I forgot where I put that. And it's kind of like, when you see pieces of art that you can wear, I always find it very like unique and beautiful because these are things that will last. I like to call them like same kind of concept as like when I talk about tattoos. Tattoos, like when they're on you, they're gonna last. That's where you put the money. When you're in the grave, they're gone. As we're like, there are dresses and stuff that have lasted for hundreds and hundreds of years. They're still like these world-renowned designs that were created from so-and-so back 300 years ago kind of a thing. And I'm wondering, like, do you think in 200 years when we're gone, people may still find your work and be like, hey,
let's hope so.
This is what they were doing back in 2026. Like, why can't we do this? You know, like, for me, it's mind-boggling that we try to like put ourselves in these weird brackets of like, why can't we make steampunk clothing?
Right.
Why can't we? Why can't we make upcycled clothing? Like, we have so much. I hate using the word garbage, and that's kind of where I like that you take it and put a spin on it with Trashion, because like I hate the concept of trash and garbage because there's just a negative like view on it instantly. As soon as you say, oh, it's garbage, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
garbage.
I don't want to use it again. It's gross. It's like that brand new TV that just broke yesterday. That's considered garbage, but
right, that's trash.
you can make this out of that. And
I know.
like,
I don't think you could look at any of this and think trash, right? Like
no. And that's kind of the thing is like, to think that that's where it came from was just like, oh, you found something, saved it, and turned it into this like beautiful work of art that people wear and do shows in. It just kind of like blows my mind at the creative ability behind just somebody who creates clothing, because I've never sat with somebody who does fashion. I've never had an opportunity because there's not a lot of people out there who create clothing designs.
Yeah, this is a different one for sure. It's not like creating a dress out of an old pair of jeans.
Well, even that, I don't think it'd be at the same level. Like, there's something almost spiritual about what you're doing. Like, especially with this one, I keep coming back to this one, right? Like, and it's like there's a natural goddess that's supposed to be wearing this that wanders around through the woods with her ravens that sit on her shoulder. Like, that's how I see this piece, and it boggles my mind that you can create things like that. But the only downfall is like, how do you go about, I guess that's where fashion is, like you can't clean them once they're...
Right, yeah, this is like a one.
You wear it once or every
maybe
one-off
twice.
shot, yeah.
No, it's definitely like, people will find it if we can get it in a glass box for 200 years. And that's where I'm going with this one, but we'll see. Maybe a shadow box or something when it's all done.
I have a feeling that your pieces would do really well in the Okanagan because there's a lot of hippy dippy people where we're from, and they love their trees and they love their fashion at the same time. So like this one, I feel would be like a wicked piece to put in like the Penticton Art Gallery, or have like an area that where like they actually set up your work and they could see it, because that is it's at that level where it should be really like appreciated.
Yes,
And
and
not
like I
just
said,
at
I
a
would
fashion
love to
show.
like apply to the Kelowna. I think I have the Kelowna application out. I would love people to see this and be interested in having a Trashion show in the Okanagan. I would drag these all out anywhere and show them off again.
Would you do more series, like a whole line? of
I think so. Well, in Nelson, the Nelson Trashion show these days has added a bunch more categories.
Okay.
They have a lot of categories actually, but one of the new ones is a collection category, and so I'm considering that for next year. The idea I have is kind of crazy, and I'm still forming it. But I found like an item that I can just like have unlimited amounts of. So it could be a collection. We will see. Who knows? Who knows what'll happen next?
You ever done anything with like CDs or DVDs?
Yeah, one of the outfits in the box that I didn't pull out is from, and it's funny, her Shelley Servo was kind of the inspiration. It's all made out of CDs and DVDs. And then her skirt is an old like TV film, which is really fun because it's an optical illusion. When you see it from some angles, it looks completely different from other angles. And I would love to do more of that. I've pulled a lot of computers apart for other projects, and I would love to do something again with technology and computers. They're a little less forgiving. You can't bend computer parts. They're not really like that. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens next. A collection I would love to do. Weirdly enough, fashion is not the only thing I do. I actually do other Trashion stuff. I'm taking Mushroom Forest to the Salmon Arm Roots and Blues Festival. It was out for Luna last year. It's a 7-foot mushroom. It's ginormous. And a bunch of little ones that go with it. It's an Alice in Wonderland creation. So yeah, it's not just fashion.
That's awesome, because I was actually wanting to come to Luna last year, and it's something that's always like I always seem to come to Revelstoke right before or just after it, and I'm always like, oh, I wish I was here.
It is amazing. It's an amazing festival. Anybody gets a chance to come see it. And they've expanded. They do Luna Sound now, where there's a night before where they do the music, and it's growing every year as well. It's so much fun.
Does Salmon Arm have any fashion shows or art shows like that?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I know there's a lot of really creative people out of Salmon Arm. One of my really good buddies is actually out of Salmon Arm, and we interviewed him for our Vernon trip, and now we started doing music at the same time, and now he's done like 10 European tours kind of a thing. Like he's just blowing up and doing amazing things, and it's always these like little towns that have like the most unique and creative people I love, because like coming from the Okanagan, Penticton is a small town with a big creative hub. And then moving to Kelowna, where it's like this big town and there's not a lot of creativity going around. You know what I mean? Like there's the arts, but it's very hidden. As we're like our smaller regions like Salmon Arm, Revelstoke,
Nelson. The murals there and the artwork in Nelson. I could just spend the whole day just walking around and looking at it. And we're getting more here with the art galleries, and now there's a big painting up by the bears on the side of the building. Like it's growing every day, which I love to see.
The art galleries are cool.
They are so amazing. They're so fun.
We saw a couple yesterday on the way. We wandered around downtown yesterday to see all the shops and all the little art galleries and stuff, and it is mind-blowing the amount of talent that is in this town.
It's so amazing.
I don't even
Everywhere
know the
you turn,
population.
there's
Population's probably like under 20,000, maybe 30,000.
Depends on
like,
if it's a ski weekend or
not. Right? Like that to me is mind-blowing that there's that many skilled artisans within such a small area, and then to see that they're all multi-talented, like not just doing fashion.
Yeah, we don't just do one thing around here.
And
no.
that's like, so how does that? you think that that's why you were drawn to Revelstoke, as being from a small town like that's creative, and then ended up?
No, I never thought I would move back to a small town. I
Really?
grew up in Salmon Arm, hated it. I lived in the boonies, grew up real farm life. My husband and I moved to the city. We were in Calgary and Vancouver, big hubs. I loved it there. The art there is also great. But we had babies. I had a son in 2015, and it was, I didn't want to take a stroller on the SkyTrain, and I didn't want to. We didn't really have a support system there, so we moved back here, and I just love it. I started my business when my daughter was born in 2017, so I didn't really get into this until a couple years later. So it was just Revy first. Came here and loved it. I didn't think I would love it, but I absolutely love Revelstoke. And then the art was just here, so.
I love that you've relatively just got into this, because that's one thing this show has really showed me, is that we've done 2 seasons now, and within the 2 seasons we've just interviewed so many people who haven't started their creative journey until late 30s up to their 50s, and now they're starting to do it, and they're doing it full time. So like I was saying, I've got friends who are, their artwork, we did an interview last year, now this year it's just like everything's happening for them, because like they decided to
put their whole soul into it, right?
Put themselves out there, which is all they needed. It was just that little boost to like, hey, I could do this. This could be my career. And it's actually like inspiring me, because I'm like, I interviewed you guys because you inspired me. Now you're inspiring me to do new things. And
that's how artist communities work, and that's how people work, right? No, it's so true. Something they don't tell you as a teenager and as a kid, when you come out of school, you just assume you're going to get a job, and that's going to be your job for life. But it's not. That's not how life works. It's not how people's souls work, right? I've had several different jobs, and I feel like each job does lend to the next, and right, you organically flow where you're supposed to, in my view. But you never know where your life's going to take you. You never know where you're going to be in 10 years. I say I haven't been doing this long, but it has been 10 years all of a sudden, right? Like, it doesn't feel that long, but life trucks on, right?
Yeah, I guess it has been 10 years,
yeah, right?
It goes quick. Yeah,
So
you don't
quick.
think about that. With the ever-evolving industry changing with fashion and artwork, do you think that you'll ever dive into trying to make it less one-off pieces and make it something that you can not mass produce, but something that you can turn into like what you can sell and continue to, and then so that you can fund the big projects that you want?
That would be fun. This yarn dress is definitely one that I will consider maybe trying again or redoing, or because I think it's the most wearable out of them all, and because the process was super fun, as much as it was probably one of the dresses that took me longer. It's super cool, and I have a ton of yarn left, so why not make more, right?
I like the fact you used burlap as like the base.
Yes, yeah. They were definitely. It's probably the most fabric I've used in a really long time. It was actually super easy to do the burlap dress. It actually has a big kind of bird cage that goes underneath it to hold it open.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a little heavy, but it's definitely the one I would go forward with. Like, I feel like there could be a market in that one.
I guess that's something I never took into consideration, is the material weights.
Yes.
When you have to take that into account when you're creating it too, because it's not just, it has to be worn.
It has to be worn, it has to be comfortable.
This is where fashion has always kind of boggled my mind, because it is like, when you're looking at fashion of like day-to-day clothes that we wear, it's not the fashion that is like high end and hard to make. And that's like, there's a lot of skill that goes into that, and a lot of variables that I don't think people think. They just see it and they're like, oh, cool. How did you do that though? Right? Like, the process that you started with to get to the final result, that it actually sits on somebody's body, can walk down an aisle, do the spin, come back, no leaves are on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's leaves. Like, those are natural ingredients that you put onto a dress, and that dress is wearable. To me, that is just absolutely mind-blowing.
I definitely think people from far away didn't get it until you say, like, these are literal leaves I picked off the ground in the fall that would have crumpled in your hand. But yeah, the result is just stunning.
These mushrooms that you created, what are they made of?
More garbage,
you
more
use steel as well?
recycling. I used some chicken wire. I had a friend who had some sitting in her yard, never going to get used. So the big 7-foot one is got chicken wire in its base. Lots of paper mache.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So do they have to be covered, these pieces?
Yeah, luckily the Roots and Blues have been really great, and they found me an inside spot at the barn because these are all paper and fabric and would melt in the rain. But they're also really fun. They're all black lit. They all have black light in them, so they all glow at night, which will be really cool at the Roots and Blues Festival.
How's that feel to be from Salmon Arm and have Salmon Arm Roots and Blues Festival be like, hey, we want your artwork
I'm
there.
excited. A friend of mine runs the bars there, and she called and said, somebody asked about your creation, and I was super blown away because I mean, it's all the way over there. I never thought, right? I would get a call. But yeah, super excited.
To this point, what's been the hardest hurdle for you to overcome in designing and moving forward with this career?
Time. I mean, a lot of these were created in the middle of the night after my kids went to bed. Time and space really is my biggest hurdle. Some of the getting, this leaf dress was not cheap to make. As much as a lot of the stuff I make is white glue and hot glue and garbage, which is a lot cheaper. The process for the leaves was super expensive. So some of the things I do are not as attainable as to do them over and over again, at least.
Fair enough. And I keep coming back to this one because I just can't, my brain looks at it, sees that it's leaves and still tries to process what's going on in front of me. And that's where it's like, I wonder what levels you could take it to.
Yes.
Right? And that's
Yeah.
kind of like where there is no limit as what you could create. You could do
Yes.
jackets, you could do
So
anything.
much. And a lot of these ones, especially the recent ones, I took a very short period of time. Normally, like I said, I take 4 months per item. A lot of these were 4 weeks. My RVAC show just came up a lot faster than I'd hoped to have, like a year to do a lot of these. Like the cape and the pantsuit is all done with mamagami, which is a Japanese
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Japanese rubbing. You use like konyaku powder, which is from a flower that they use for gelatin. And I wish I'd had more time because I think I only got it about halfway as soft as it could get. And I just wish, if I'd had more time, I could make it even more beautiful and more supple fabric. So these ones especially, there was some time. There was a time limit on some of these.
What led you to using Japanese traditional techniques on that?
Pinterest again.
Really?
I saw this really cool thing on Pinterest, and somebody made like a purse out of paper, and I was like, what? And I tried this. I found the powder online, and it was really neat. It's super, super easy to do, just time consuming.
I don't know how they are so skilled and understand things on such a level because the Japanese culture has so many really cool techniques and skill sets that no other culture really has.
No, and there is a couple like under the tea dress or like with the tea bags, I used also a Japanese method of sewing small patches together, right? And it's kind of the same for here, doing it without even knowing I was doing it, and then finding out, like no wonder they're traditional and been around forever because they work.
And that's the thing is I find it's like being an artist, there's like a global collective conscious between us. Like if one of us thinks of an idea, someone across the world's thought of it at the same time. Same with the third person. So instantly you have competition creating. And I think that's why like the music industry became so like flooded because there's so many musicians and not enough like creative minds in the other art forms. And I'm like, it's where I'm like happy to steer away from being a musician and diving into other art forms and learning from other artisans because knowledge is super valuable and helps you with transcending any art form, but to hear other people's perspectives on how they go about working their respective industries or overcoming their processes that are like the biggest hurdles for them. And it kind of gives not only myself like a hope that you can create something new, but also like a younger generation that like, hey, not everything's been done.
Right. Well, and now as much as like AI is scary, it's also really fun. You can create things without spending a ton of time. and I can tell AI what I want to create, and it can help me visualize. It's more of a tool, an aiding tool than anything else. But same with Pinterest. Like 20 years ago, right? It wasn't really a thing, and it was harder to share that work with other artists. So as time goes on, it's really fun to explore new avenues and like see what's out there. When I first started the cork dress, I literally Googled cork dress, and Pinterest showed me a couple, right? And that's where I got the original inspiration. And if it wasn't for that, right, this would never exist. Same with most of the other pieces. So yeah, that, like you said, that collective consciousness that artists are now able to share worldwide, globally. Yeah.
You brought up a cool point too, because we tend to talk about it a ton on the show, and I think it's because our show is based around creative people, and every one of our industries are on like a threat right now from AI. I don't think fashion really is, because they can't like replicate and physically build it.
It can't physically build the thing.
Like,
yeah, it's a lot
So I can
harder.
understand where it's like a lot less intimidating as like, well, it can design the ideas and show me the images that look like, but it can't build.
But that design still comes out of my head.
Exactly,
right?
Right.
As much as I don't like to use it sometimes. I can't draw. I can't draw worth to save my life. So to be able to use that tool is great. But again, it's just a tool to use, that I have in my back pocket if I absolutely need it. But even then, I'm a 90s kid. I still like pen and paper. I still like notes and lists. And
I'm literally a list person. Every day I have a physical list. And I try to do it on my phone. It's just not the same.
No, you don't. We don't default to the technology right away. It takes me some fighting to get there.
Yeah, and AI is one that I didn't realize how detrimental it was until recently. When I found a music artist that I thought was a new artist that I liked, and found out it was AI, and I was like, wow, okay. As a person of 26 years professionally working music and playing 14 instruments, I couldn't tell the difference until my brain was like, hey, these lyrics aren't syncing in your brain. Like, you're not memorizing these lyrics for some reason. And I went, why? And then I did the research. And,
if you look into any little AI, any little bit, you'll find that it's not that smart. Right? Like, it's learning from us. So really.
Well, that's the thing too. It started to sound like other artists, and it's showing me other artists that sounded it. I'm like, wait a second. They're all extremely bluesy, all extremely good at rapping. This doesn't really make sense to me. So and that's where it's like, as a musician, I'm kind of glad to like step away from music and start diving and talking into other art forms, because I've always been inspired and wanted to do different things, but way too scared. Like I'm open to admitting that there's like art forms that scare me. Like painting is one that like I see very 2D. So I don't see the textures, the layers that all these, or like the lighting. I didn't understand lighting until I started doing photography. I just saw lights and I was like, okay, well, your face is lit up. I don't see the shadows and the depths and the colors. So like, I think building things physically, like woodworking, fashion, metalwork, like those are kind of things that would be more up my alley than painting, because I can't physically take what's in here and put it down onto paper, but I can use my hands to build those things.
Yes,
and I think that's where, and I think that's where we can kind of like connect, because I don't look at like the design factors behind this as impossible once you see it, because you're like, oh, okay, I could do that if I really put my energy into it, but to replicate the skill set that you have, not a chance, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like if I was to tear it apart and rebuild it, I'd understand it, but it wouldn't have the same soul that's put behind it, and that's because you created it, and what you do with it is magical. Like I'm looking at the strap and there's like pieces of is that?
That's CDs, and a lot of them have come off. But
love it. Like the way your brain works is just is magical. And to see it, like I want to see where it goes to, and like I would love to see this in the Okanagan. Like I feel like there would be like Mission Hill could do a wicked wine based fashion show, and they've got the space for it and the ability to. And I think like if you could get this there, they'd be all over it.
I think so too, yeah. And it's just getting it out there.
Is it hard to make this one travel?
It's not easy.
How much does it weigh?
Actually, well, it's a little heavy. She's got like a bike tire holding like the shape, so it's a little heavier. And again, you can't sit in it. You're kind of stuck standing all night. But it's definitely not uncomfortable.
Could you make one that's out of cork that'd be that you could sit in just by where you put like the
Maybe.
folds of where they were?
Yes, I think so. Like if you were to this is a very stiff one. But that's just what the corks did when you put them in this pattern, right? They just held their shape. I had no control over that. But I have seen some more, tea dress style ones that are on more fabric that you could actually sit in. But
Like I love how the upper part is laying, and then down here it's like flowy,
right,
with its own.
It has this pattern.
It has its own feel.
Like it's moving.
Yeah, and it has like it's exactly like it's moving, or it's like there's waves moving throughout it, and the top is very like structured.
Right.
Over the years, what has been the best piece of advice or knowledge that you've gained while working with these pieces? And
Nobody else does this, so
no, and that's
I'm
kind of,
learning it
right?
all as I go. Be careful with glue guns; they're hot. Paint stains floors. Just little things I've learned over the years. I've never had anybody be able to give me any advice. One thing I took from college always was good from far, but far from good. Being in theater, things only have to last a week. So that's where a lot of my initial creating came in, and I'm definitely much better. Things are a little better from far away than they are up close. These maybe not so much, but my original works for sure.
Yeah, because we were talking before we got on camera too that you did backgrounds for theater and you did all the set designs and stuff, and how that lent to the creative ability to like see something that's not typical and be like, oh, I can use that as a set and use that for this piece. And in the film industry and theater industry, that is a very extremely valuable skill to have, and I don't think a lot of people have that eye to details or to be able to take something and turn it into something completely different. I think that is a very a skill that is not as predominant anymore.
Yeah, and it's one thing I set, like there's no rules for this. I mean, some of the Trashion shows have a couple rules, but I set my own rules of I really like to use one item or 97% one thing for a dress, or like giving myself timelines and rules like that. Just to make it more interesting.
I love it. And I'm like, curious of what else you could build technically. I mean, there's no sky's the limit. It
is. It very much is. The day of the Trashion show in Nelson, I was watching a video on stupid Pinterest, and I found a way to recycle styrofoam, melt styrofoam down and create with it. So my brain is ready to start running for the next one. You melt it in acetone, which not exactly the safest thing to do in the world. But it becomes a liquid, and then you can dry it and mold it and play to your heart's content.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So my brain is going a million miles a minute of what I'm going to create.
Yeah, because you could
the sky's the limit with this one.
The bases of your hats and anything could technically be built out of styrofoam.
Yeah, I got into mold making a couple years ago. I made like a mold for a lollipop thing that I made. So like I can just make whatever mold I want, and yeah, the sky is honestly the limits with this next one. I'm not sure where it'll end up yet.
Over the time that you've been doing this, have you found that there's anything within the industry that you would change if you could?
Considering we're pretty much just getting going, not really. I'm trying to think to the shows that I've been to. No, I just growing it, making it bigger. Let's get it out there, right? When I competed in Nelson, there's a couple girls from Kelowna, Calgary, but again, there's just these two shows. There might be one more, but I just want to make it an actual thing. Let's make Trashion, Trashion shows a thing in every town. Because again, it's taking garbage off the street. It's taking, you're reusing and recycling. And that's what we got to get on to the next generation, push on to the next generation, just like we did, right? Reduce, reuse, recycle, and now we can fit in remake.
I like that a lot. That is a good way to look at it, because definitely being a 90s kid, we grew up with that. And we also grew up in a weird time where it was like the transition from everything hits the garbage can to actually like recycling bins.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's funny because the trends these days, kids are really getting back into cassette tapes and thrifting and something, you know, it's always coming back around, which is super awesome.
especially
but
being us.
Yeah.
90s kids, it's like 90s kids were like, oh, we don't want to go to the thrift store, Mom.
Right,
And now
yeah.
we're like, ooh, thrifting. It's like never
It's
really
so
left
true.
us. And that's one thing I love thrift stores, and like used to, I think it was grade 6. We had one of our teachers had us do like a fashion show. Pick something that you can make clothing out of and do this, and we ended up using garbage bags.
Nice.
And we made some like really funny things, and they were like a play on FUBU clothing, so it looked really gangster jeans, but it was like made out of garbage bags, and it was terrible, and we were grade 6, but like just the thought of inspiring kids to do that was not something I'd ever seen before, so it was kind of cool to dive into. I'd never followed up on it, but I've always had like the interest in building, like as a musician, doing my own merch. I have my own merchandise, but I'd like to have separate one-off pieces that I could sell to the real dedicated fans who are like, oh, that is a hand custom built hat by Robb. I want to buy that. It's not just like one of his mass-produced
Right, one of the- yeah,
fancy
it comes
Bodhi
off
hats
a-
kind of a thing, right? So, and that's where it's like it becomes challenging, because how can you separate yourself from one of your beautiful pieces if somebody wants to buy it? Because like
I'm not
that's
sure I could.
right, and that's kind of like, how do you go about selling something when it's at like such a level?
Well, and I would love to create something for somebody, like have them bring me their grandma's yarn, and I'll make them a dress out of it. Bring me
That's
your
so
kids'
cool.
outfit, you know, your kids' drawings and stuff, and I'll totally make something out of it. I think that's where it would have to go, as opposed to, I'm not sure I could sell any of this. These, that one's named after my mom, right? Like
You could
they're
you can sell them.
very,
Honestly.
they're very personal. These ones.
Well, I think that's what also brings very a beautiful value to it, because they are personal, and the story that goes along with the piece is also just as valuable as the work that
Yes.
goes into it. And I think that I tend to relate to like the stories. I just touched my mic. I relate to the stories more than the pieces, because the stories make me remember how valuable the piece is.
Yes.
So like when my buddy Mike is telling me about, he built this stained glass piece for the specific person whose dog passed away, and the dog meant tons to them, and he built them that.
That's always more,
that
yeah,
commemorative
more
piece.
beautiful.
It's kind of like, it could have been any stained glass piece that just was cool, that looks great, but like the story is like, now I value this so much more because I understand how much it means to you. And I feel like the way I see you talk about your pieces, you can see the love and the passion, and it's like, that's why I was like, yeah, I don't think I could ever see her trying to sell, especially any of these ones,
Yeah,
because these
some
are
of
like
these core
the
ones,
babies.
I don't know.
If you had any advice to give an aspiring fashion designer who wants to either step into the fashion industry or follow in your footsteps and save the planet by creating beautiful things, what advice do you think you'd give them?
Just do it. Just try it. If you have an idea, it's not going to hurt anybody to try it. Like I said, most people ask me where this comes from. I have an idea in my brain and I bring it out and I create it physically. That's all you can do. You don't have to answer to anybody but yourself in that respect. Like I said, as you get older, you kind of learn like, I'm going to do what I want. So just do it.
And I think that's a very valuable piece of
Damn
advice.
Nike, and they're lovely.
Right? Their ability to
They're
mass
perfect.
produce things.
They're
Yeah.
perfect saying.
But I think it's a great advice, because I think that a lot of this younger generation is like stuck with like not knowing what they can do or where they can go with these things. So they kind of just like, pick it up and put it down and don't touch it again. And that's being able to guide them through the waters, like the stagnant waters that lead you to your art career before the big waves and tidal waves that are bringing you further and further ahead. You kind of like gotta trek through the duck pond first.
Yeah.
You gotta deal with the poop. You gotta deal with the crap that it takes to get to becoming an artist, because it's not like it's easy. It's not an easy life. It's not just,
No.
I'm a creative and all of a sudden I'm a millionaire because I have a creative vision.
Yeah, and you always have to step out of your comfort zone, right? That's like, I was just doing these for Trashion shows, and then I was like, I'm going to apply to RVAC, and I'm going to do an actual show, and all of a sudden I was an artist, right? Like, I never thought of myself before that. I just create things every once in a while. But actually getting into an art gallery and doing a show, I was kind of like, wow, I'm an actual artist now, right? Like, there's something I could actually do. So yeah, it's it's fun to watch that progress.
And it's kind of an honor to be here and see it at its, I guess, in its infancy still, because it's not like they're slowing down.
Let's hope not.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I want to thank you for your time and your story, because it's been extremely inspiring. I've never got to sit with somebody who does clothing, fashion, Trashion. I love it because it's like, for me as a person who loves upcycling and reusing things and sustainable lifestyles, this is exactly what I feel more people should be doing with their lives.
I agree.
So I want to thank you for your time.
Well, thank you
and
so
for
much
having us
and
here, because it's
showing
been
off
amazing.
my wonderful creations that I love to talk about.
Yes, please don't stop. Please make more, and we're going to try to get you into the Okanagan, because I have some friends that I kind of want to contact and be like, hey, we need to do an art show. So I want to thank you again. It's been a blast. And if you'd like to be on the show, there will be a QR code at the bottom of the screen that you can scan. It'll take you to a form to fill out, and we will be in contact with you. From everyone at TELUS STORYHIVE, I'm Robb, and we'll catch you next time.